I'm moving fly line efficiently. I'm towing the weighted line where I want it to go. That's the goal of any cast. This is a different type of cast. This is the old river runs through it cast. You've seen it in a movie, your buddy taught you, but we're going to modify it just a little bit, and I want you to understand how to make it happen. We don't call it an aerial cast or a vertical cast or an overhand cast. What we do call it is an air cast, for the reason we're putting the line in the air. And again, our only goal in casting is to move the weighted line efficiently and tell it where we want it to go. If we're putting the weighted line in the air behind us, we're going to allow it to nearly straighten out. That's how we remove slack. And then, if you've watched our principles, we are going to pull the line in the direction we want it to go, and it's an accelerated pull, and simply we're going to stop the rod. Now, if I only pull and stop and pull and stop and pull and stop, you can see that's not very efficient at directing the line outward to where I want it to go. We need to add something to our buttery smooth and efficient cast, and that is a pause. The pause occurs just after each stop. And that pause is important because it allows the fly line to nearly straighten out behind us, and that's where we want to get the mass, so that we can pull it forward and put it on point. Well, the obvious question is, well, how long do you pause? And the trouble is, the industry answer is, that depends. It depends on the length of fly line out the tip of your rod. Think about it. If it's a longer section of fly line, it'll simply take longer, more time for your fly line to nearly straighten out. And if it's a shorter bit of fly line, well, a shorter bit of fly line takes less time to straighten out. So we at Leland, because we instruct so much, we've seen people struggle with this. That's why we invented our own fly line. It's the Leland custom line. We commonly call it the Pliny after our favorite beer. But the idea is this, that our fly line has a weight forward section that's fixed. This is white, the weight forward, and the red is thinner and lighter behind it. But if you get your casting skills down with a fixed amount of fly line, something magic happens as it relates to the pause. If the length of fly line is fixed, the pause becomes fixed as well. So really our answer at Leland is, don't let the fly hit the ground. So we're going to accelerate the line using the rod. We're going to add a stop to transfer the energy out of the rod, put it in the line, and we're going to let our fly line nearly straighten out, or at least not let it hit the ground. It looks like this. Here comes my pull. There's my stop. Pull, stop, pause. Pull, stop, pause. Pull, stop, pause. It'll take a little bit of practice, and you can do this at home with the existing line you've got, but you have to figure out a fixed amount of line that, one, you can control, and two, is a relatively functional length of fly line for fishing. You can even take a pen out and mark it so you know what your favorite length of line is to practice. But the point is this, once you figure out the tempo of the pause, you can keep the fly line in the air the whole time. Removing slack is principle one. Accelerating your pull using the rod, that's principle two. It's how it amplifies. And when you stop the rod, that's when the energy from the rod goes into the fly line. And the final bit is find the tempo that works for you. Don't let the fly hit the ground, and also don't go too quickly because you have slack on your back cast at that point. Let's do it again. Accelerate a pull to a stop, pause, pull, stop, pause, pull, stop, pause, pull, stop, pause. You can float a fly line in the air all darn day. This isn't an exercise of power. This is an exercise of efficiency and timing. If anything, coming off the accelerator, casting with less power, slowing down your fly line, it's really, really critical. And if you notice, I'm not hauling or anything. I don't have to speed up my line to keep this amount of line in the water. And by the way, if you're wondering how long you need to cast, if you're fishing for trout, a resulting 40-foot cast is right in the wheelhouse. So practice your air cast. It does require one thing, that you have back cast room, meaning no bushes or trees or whatever behind you. But if you do have the space, it's a wonderfully enjoyable cast to do. And it's a great way to dry off your dry fly. And it's also a great way to gauge your distance. False casting is great because I can hover my fly over my intended target a few times before I lay it down. If I'm too close, I can back off. If I'm not close enough, you can quietly move forward. So learn your false cast. We call it the air cast. Practice, please.